Oh, governor! Oh, God.
And welcome to another episode of BuzzBox. I'm Bert.
I'm Clay.
And I told Clay, I was like, oh, I got one, don't you worry. And so you got hello, governor.
Oh, God.
We're back with, I believe, week 14.
Week 14.
In the NHL season.
Mm-hmm.
Shockingly enough, we're still happening.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, most of the games were played this week. I don't think I had
Maybe
any.
for you.
Oh, okay. Well,
Every
yeah.
team played, but, like...
I do remember I only had one team that played one game. Well, anyway, we'll get them. What are we drinking this week, Clay?
This week we are drinking Stone's Arrogant Bastard Ale. Stone is from San Diego, which is an hour and a half from LA, so we're
Close
counting
enough.
it.
Yeah, close enough.
I've actually been to their brewery. It's very nice.
Yeah.
I like a lot of their beers.
Oh, man.
You're going to have a struggle with this.
If you like IPAs, it's, I'm sure, good.
They're an independent brewery as well.
Independence.
Also, it says it's vegan on it. Huh.
Wouldn't most beer be vegan?
You'd think.
It's just like hops and like
I don't know.
Anyway, well, it's vegan. Yay! Shout out to any vegans out there, I guess. You
Listening
you
to
do
us.
you.
But yeah,
You said you wanted to start this week?
I'm going to start this week.
All right.
Starting up with the Atlantic Division.
Atlantic.
Because Atlantic is right for some of these teams.
Oh, yeah.
Starting up is Boston,
Yeah.
who went 4-0 this week.
Damn.
Beating Washington, Montreal, Philadelphia, and Nashville in overtime.
Damn.
Brad Marchand scored 6 goals and 4 assists.
Brad the Rat.
Over 10 points over those 4 games.
Damn. Pretty good week.
Shorthand, power play, even strength doesn't
Power
matter.
hand.
Power hand doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's one of those
scored
rare players that does literally everything.
everything.
Yeah.
They were 5 for 14 on the power play.
That's really good.
Yeah. Honestly, they were 50% on 3 of their 4 games, and then were over 5 against Montreal, and that messed up there.
And
Percentage.
everybody weeps because Boston has finally remembered how to play hockey.
Yep, they are
Consistently.
22, 11, and 2.
Yep.
Back.
They are, I think they are very strongly have the second wild card spot now.
Oh yeah,
I believe,
they kicked
whoever was there before.
I think they have the first one.
I mean, I think they had it. No, they don't. The Penguins have that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But it's
very close.
Honestly, the only reason the Penguins have it is because I think they've played like 3 more games than Boston.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boston has really come on. So they still got quite a lot of ground to cover to catch the other 3 teams ahead of them in their division. Not as much as it was.
Not as much as you think either.
Yeah.
They're pretty close behind Toronto, who's 3rd in that division.
What's weird is the Eastern Conference playoffs are already kind of taking shape because you have the 2 wild card spots, but then everybody behind them is like pretty far behind them at this point.
Oh yeah. We mentioned Detroit a couple weeks ago in that playoff spot.
Yeah, Detroit came back to earth.
They're out, and they've lost a lot of ground to Boston.
Well, I mean, part of the problem, like I said, was Boston had a bunch of games postponed, and just like their schedule was kind of light in the first half of the season.
Yep.
So now they're starting to play their games again.
And they've also remembered how to play.
Yeah, and they're also getting a more consistent effort. And Tuukka Rask is back.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Tuukka Rask is back. He started his first game.
Crazy.
He beat Philadelphia. They sent down Swayman,
Which I sent down Allmark.
No.
Oh.
Allmark played last night. Or
Okay.
Allmark played
Pardon
against
me.
Nashville. No, they sent down Swayman.
But Swayman probably doesn't have to go through waivers, so
Yeah,
that makes sense.
it's a little sad because Swayman was playing really well.
Yeah, but you're not gonna. I mean,
it's Tuukka Rask.
Rask signed for like $1 million
Yeah.
too, so it's not like you're even wasting a lot of money. Rask is, I don't know, but maybe borderline Hall of Fame.
Borderline Hall of Famer, but he's played his entire career in Boston. He's got a cup.
Yeah. He's going to be remembered as a great goaltender because he is a great goaltender. And yeah, so I mean, Swayman will get his opportunity probably next year
Oh,
because God
100%.
knows. I mean, Rask is in his mid-30s, I think, and obviously was already mulling retirement.
Yeah,
So.
mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
One thing that Allmark and Swayman did do as like a superstitious, like, can't think of the word, thing.
Superstition.
Yep. They did, after wins, they would do big, like, red panda hugs.
Uh-huh. And Tuukka Rask was like, don't fucking touch me.
Well, Allmark did it to himself. Gave himself a big
old
old hug.
Was that what that video was?
Yeah. He gave himself a big old hug because Swayman wasn't there anymore.
That's really funny. He's like, I miss my friend.
Yes, exactly. So, in injury news, Trent Frederick is out for a couple weeks with an upper body injury, and Nick Foligno is done for January with a lower body injury.
I'll be totally honest, I forgot Nick Foligno was on Boston.
I know, right?
Yeah.
He's done pretty well for where.
I totally forgot that he was on Boston.
Oh yeah, we don't get to mention him much just because of the
he's
other players on this team.
He's kind of a role player at this point of his career. Yeah. Is that it for Boston?
That's done for Boston, and up next is Buffalo. They went 1-2 this past week.
All right, that seems pretty Buffalo of them.
Yep. So they're 11-20-6 overall. They got stomped by Tampa Bay, beat Nashville, and then got shut out by Detroit.
What an up and down week.
We will talk.
Roller coaster.
I mean, it's today, so they play the game today against Detroit as well.
Oh, do they?
Also lost. So.
Oh, was it an afternoon? Oh, happy Martin Luther King Day.
Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody.
Yeah.
They also lost to Detroit today.
Gotcha.
Lost in overtime.
Keep it for next week.
Lost in overtime after being up 2-0.
Jeez, Buffalo.
But yeah, so Buffalo went 2 for 13 on the power play, and 7 for 11 on the penalty kill.
Ugh.
Yeah, so they don't get a top player.
No.
Problem is, Luukkonen is out indefinitely for now.
Oh, is that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen?
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
God, I love his
It's a great name. Well, he's hurt with the lower body.
Lame.
And then who took over for him after he got injured in the Tampa Bay game, Malcolm Subban, also is hurt with an upper body.
God. Who's their goalie?
Dell.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was Aaron Dell.
Aaron Dell. He's been in net a couple of times. They are dealing with goalie injuries.
Yeah.
And then Tokarski.
Oh, I forgot they had Dustin Tokarski.
Well, he had gotten hurt and then had COVID, so he is off the COVID protocol list, but he's out indefinitely due to conditioning. They're just getting him back.
Oh, okay. So they're just like.
So that's 3 goalies on their list just for this week.
Buffalo, call me. Can't ice skate, but I can sit there.
Yeah, and
I can track pucks pretty well.
90 miles an hour, Will?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Bring it on. I'll die.
All right. Up to Detroit.
All right.
They went 1-1-1.
Boring.
Yep. 17-17-5 overall.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
I hope they end. I hope they have the exact same amount. I hope they end exactly at 500.
Exactly. Even with overtime losses.
Yeah, I just like that. It's fun.
Right down the middle. They lost in overtime to San Jose. Were shut out by Winnipeg, and like I just said, they shut out Buffalo.
Roller coaster of a week.
Roller coaster. 3 for 13 on the power play. 8 for 9 on the penalty kill. Tyler Bertuzzi had 2 goals and 3 assists.
Is that unvaccinated power?
Unvaccinated power. Fun little story. Nedeljkovic's grandparents made it to their first ever NHL game to watch him get a shutout.
Get his first ever shutout.
His
first ever one with Detroit, at least.
Yeah, first ever shutout with Detroit.
That's
so
nice.
That's a nice little
I saw a picture
there.
of them online, and they did not look that interested in what was happening. Or his grandma didn't anyway.
Right.
She was just like, "What's happening?
I'm here.
Where is he?"
All right. Up next is Florida.
It's okay. I blanked out there for a second.
Well, I was trying to think of a segue and did not.
Next we got
someone who knows what's happening is Florida.
It's true, yeah.
Who are 3-0 this week.
Not just 3-0.
8-0-1 since the COVID break.
Damn.
Yes. They are now 26-7-5.
Didn't they stomp everybody this week?
They stomped everybody this week. They are tied with Tampa Bay for first in the division points wise. They might have some games in hand. I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah, I don't know.
Like
we can look at those standings again in a few weeks.
Again, they stomped everybody. 5-2 against Vancouver, 7-1 against Dallas, 9-2 against.
When
the
you're
Blue
like
Jackets.
5-2 was the closest game this week. That's bad.
Yeah.
Or was bad for the other team.
This is the second time in 2 weeks that they've scored 9 goals.
It's nuts. Come on, Florida, keep this going. We're pulling for you. If our teams can't win, we want you to win.
100%. They were 3 for 9 on the power play.
Oh my God, they scored all of those goals and only 3 of them were power play goals. That's nuts.
Yeah, one of them was a shorthanded.
Nice.
In the Columbus game, it was their first goals were a even strength at power play and then a shorthanded goal within the first period and a half.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I was at a game one time. I believe the Penguins were playing Tampa Bay. This was like, wait. Your keys are very loud.
Yeah, they are.
This was many years ago at this point. The Penguins ended up, I believe, winning 10-1. But in the first period, like 10 minutes into the game, they were up 5-0. It was just like Tampa wasn't
Tampa
then. They had Stamkos, but like that was the only. I think they had Hedman too, but that was the only members of like their very good team now that they had. But like I went to the game and it was just like.
It's a bloodbath.
It was a bloodbath, and it was great.
Jonathan Huberdeau, 3 games.
He's really coming on this year.
2 goals, 5 assists.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a year.
He's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
These past 2 weeks. They had 8 players had a 4-point minimum.
Well, if you score that many goals, yeah.
Sam Bennett got his second hat trick of the season.
Oh my God. So this suspension gave him power.
Yeah, right. Barkov got that shorthanded goal. He had like at least 2 goals, but
So
like
good.
so many players just putting up points. Also, Bobrovsky played all 3 games, got all 3 wins, 99 saved out of 104 faced.
Damn.
Which is a .952 and a 1.6 goals against average. Yeah, so they are on fire.
And Fuego.
Oh my gosh.
Those Panthers, they're so hot right now.
66% of the time. Works every time. What doesn't make sense is Montreal.
I mean, they make sense.
It makes
They're just
sense.
bad.
Montreal has not yet matched the 74 Capitals record of 8
Oh, really?
of 8 wins.
Oh my God.
They went 0-1-1 this week.
Can they do it? Can they break the 74 Capitals record?
Playing 2 out of their 4 scheduled games.
Yeah, they're still delaying.
Losing to
Canadian
Montreal.
teams.
Some are playing though. It's
like
weird.
the Oilers played.
Yeah.
Recently.
Ottawa played 2 of their 3 games. Like I said, they lost to Boston and they lost to Chicago in overtime. They are 1 for 9 on the power play, 8 for 9 on the penalty kill, which is good.
Yeah. Silver lining.
Which brings them to the 7-24-5. They have had a lot of games postponed.
Yeah, they have, but I mean the games they are playing, they're not winning.
Right.
So.
Chris Weidman is out for a 1-game suspension for a headbutt in the Boston game, which got him his ass beat on top of that.
Oh my God. Why headbutt a guy? Like, come on.
Because the refs had his arms pinned.
Fair enough.
And then Jake Allen is also injured, expected in a couple of weeks.
Ugh.
So.
Yeah, just nothing going right for Montreal.
Bad season is going worse.
It's
Montreal.
amazing that they made the playoffs. Not only made the playoffs, but went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
Well, also that run that they had the year before.
Oh yeah, that too.
They just got hot in the playoffs.
Yeah. It was a thing. It was like almost worse for them to make the playoffs the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have been there. Now last year they did go to the finals, but they beat like playoff underachievers.
They got hot.
Specifically Carey Price got hot.
Carey Price got hot
among some of their younger guys too, and
that's all
they made it there, but then they just lost to Tampa Bay.
They got overpowered by Tampa.
Yeah.
Up next is Ottawa, playing again 2 of their 3 games, winning both of them.
Nice.
Stomping Calgary,
yeah,
4-1, and then beating Edmonton 6-4.
Oh my God, Edmonton.
Matt Murray got his first win of the season against Calgary, and he followed it up with his second win of the season against Edmonton.
Blake Bortles.
Bortles, 2 for 6 on the power play, and then 3 for 4 on the penalty kill.
Pretty good week for Ottawa.
Alex Fermenton had 1 goal and 3 assists, so that's 4 points in 2 games. Not bad.
His last name sounds like something that you would get like prescribed at a doctor's office. We're gonna have to have you take Fermentin for the next week to help with that infection that you have.
It's a rash. It's a cream.
Oh, it's a cream.
Yeah,
you're
100%
right. It sounds
a cream.
like a cream.
All right, so Ottawa
It's like a steroid cream.
is 11, 18, and 2.
Look at them, double digits.
Double digits. Those 2 wins really
Hell
helped.
yeah.
Connor Brown is out for a while with a broken jaw.
Ouch.
And then someone else dislocated a finger, but that was also
That's not nearly as serious as a broken jaw.
also listed indefinitely, but that will come back much sooner.
You know what I always think? This is a tangent, but I promise it'll be a short one. Just speaking of broken jaws, that ostriches are one of the only... Ostriches can kill lions.
Yeah.
Because their kicks can break their jaws.
Same with zebras.
And then the lion just slowly starves to death from a broken jaw because it can't eat. That's crazy. I'm sorry.
I mean, we have to...
I just think of that every time I hear about a broken jaw.
Fixing a broken jaw is wiring it shut so it can...
Yeah, you can't do that in the wild.
Right.
So. Sorry. I just think of that every time I hear about a broken jaw.
There was a bunch of different ways I thought that story was going. That wasn't it.
Oh, okay. Where did you think it was going?
Your own, history with an injury or something like that?
No, my jaw's strong, dog.
We're talking about lions.
I got that strong jaw. Not jaw line, but strong jaw.
Who else has a strong jaw is Tampa Bay.
Ooh, look at that.
Playing
It kind of made sense.
Kind of, only a little bit. They have a strong jaw line as well. Going 3-0 this week. 26, 9, and 5. Again, tied for the top of Florida. They destroyed Buffalo. They destroyed Vancouver. And they beat Dallas pretty good. Kucherov is back with a vengeance. 3 goals and 4 assists over this week.
3 games?
Yep.
Oh, damn.
3 for 8 on the power play. 8 for 9 on the penalty kill. Andrei Vasilevsky in these 3 games going saved 60 for 64, which is a .938 save percentage with 1.3 goals against average.
Nice.
And they also have 5 players who at least had 4 points over those 3 games.
Damn, those hot ass Florida teams.
We're going through the swamp. Stanley Cup is going through the swamp.
It seems like at least through the Eastern Conference, yeah.
Mountains for the Western Conference.
Yeah, true. True.
And then last up is Toronto, who went 2-1 this week. They are 24, 9, and 3, so firmly
They're
in
up there
third.
too. Yeah.
Firmly in third place right now. Beating Vegas in a shootout, losing to Arizona,
Shameful.
and then beating St. Louis in a barn burner that was 6-5.
Yeah, that was a good game.
It was a great game. They were 1 for 7 on the power play, and then 5 for 8 on the penalty kill. Austin Matthews had 3 goals, 1 assist, and then 4 block shots on top of that.
Good for you, blocking shots.
I love seeing star offensive players blocking shots.
It's always nice. That's the Atlantic, eh?
That's the Atlantic, eh?
Alrighty, well, let's stay in the East, and we'll go to the Metro. Starting with Carolina, who was 1-1 this week. They got shut out by Columbus, 6-0.
Yeah, I saw that game.
That was maybe Carolina's worst game of the season. Definitely.
100%.
Definitely. But then they bounced back and beat Vancouver. 1 for 3 on the power play this week. 6 for 6 on the penalty kill. 25, 8, and 2 overall record.
So spicy.
Very good. Although I will say that nobody really had a standout week for them this week.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna give them the top player.
That's fair.
I mean, all people like players had like 2 points. Their
Yes.
goalies were okay.
Mhm.
And they had their game against Philadelphia was postponed because Philly had a bunch of COVID problems. But then also they postponed it. But then the next day Philly was practicing, and so Carolina, who was already in Philadelphia, like when it got postponed, were like kind of annoyed by that,
Yeah, that's fair.
which I understand.
I mean, another game tomorrow. So Detroit was supposed to play the Islanders tomorrow,
hmm
but that game got flexed because Philadelphia has games to make up. So Philadelphia is playing the Islanders tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Oh, is that how they're gonna do that?
We'll see.
We'll see. I don't know how they're gonna make up all of these, especially the Canadian games. I don't know how they're gonna make all of these up.
They're going to be played like every day at the end of
They're
the
gonna
season.
have to. Well, I mean, they have those couple of weeks for the Olympics that the NHL is not going to. I'm wondering if most teams are still going to have most of those 2 weeks off, but then like the Canadian teams have to play at some point.
Oh, 100%.
They have to play their home games against whoever that their opponent was supposed to be. So say it's like the Penguins. I know some of those games got delayed for the Penguins. So
Right.
they'll have to go to like Calgary or Winnipeg or whoever to play those games.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just so many games at this point. Now, they're starting to play games at home in Canada again. I believe that Oilers game, the Ottawa Oilers game, I think was the first one at home. There's been a few, but they're starting to play them again.
Yeah.
But that was I remember I checked, it was at 50% capacity, so that's better than it was, I guess. Maybe Canada's easing up
Right.
on it.
I mean,
But I don't
Omicron is running through.
It is, but at least where we are right now, our numbers are starting to tick back down.
Right.
So I'm hoping maybe that's happening everywhere, but I can't speak for everywhere.
I did read something that like in the UK it's 50% down from the week before. So like
Great. I hope that keeps happening.
it's on the
Yeah.
downward trend.
I think it's on the downward trend, so maybe Canada is like, okay, you can start having people at the games again, but who knows? Anyway, that was Carolina.
Yeah.
Moving on to Columbus, who went 1-2 this week. They did shut out Carolina, like I just said.
Right.
However, they lost to Chicago, shameful, and they got the crap beat out of them by Florida.
Oh yeah.
1 for 8 on the power play, 8 for 9 on the penalty kill, 17, 18, and 1 is their overall record. Remember when they started the season? Weren't they like 12-6 or something like that?
Who are we talking about again?
Columbus.
Yes.
They started
They
were like 7-2 or something.
They started
like that.
hot.
Yeah. And everybody was like, ooh, including us, were like, oh, they're
Yeah.
doing better
Looking
than we
good.
thought,
Yeah.
and now they just regressed back to where we thought they'd be. Gustav Nyquist had a really good week for them, though. 2 goals, 2 assists.
Good for him.
And they were supposed to play in Montreal, but obviously that got postponed. Moving on to the Devils, who had their game against Tampa Bay postponed. I believe that was New Jersey had a bunch of COVID problems.
Yep. Did they have a couple
Oh,
games
actually,
get canceled?
yes, they did. I'm sorry. Their Montreal game got canceled too. Not canceled, postponed. Whatever. But they did play 1 game this week, and they. Okay, you can come up. Just be careful of the wires. Sorry, Ruthie is trying to join me on the couch. But good girl. All right. Sorry about that. New Jersey played 1 game this week, 0 for 1, lost to the Islanders. In that game, they were 1 for 5 on the power play, 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. New Jersey's overall record is 14, 18, and 5. You don't get a top player playing 1 game and losing it. Unfortunately, AJ Green is on the IR, and that injury is undisclosed.
When did he switch sports?
AJ Greer, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're correct to call me out on that. AJ Greer is on the IR. God.
He's in the playoff game.
Yeah, he's playing tonight. Oh my God. He's so multi-talented. Moving on to the Islanders. They went 1-1 this week. Beat New Jersey, like I just said, but got shut out by Washington. And you were at that game.
I was at that game.
Yeah. Did you have fun?
It was a great game.
Yeah, good. Well,
I
good
mean,
for Washington.
It was one of those things where, Varlamov? Varlamov.
Close enough.
I had it on the drive here, but
Yeah.
of course, the microphone. Varlamov just played on his head, like,
He used to play for the Capitals, didn't he?
very briefly.
Yeah, only for a couple of years,
Yeah.
I think. Semyon Varlamov.
Yeah, he played great. He kept the Islanders in that game.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was a fairly close game, 2-0.
it only looked like that on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it was even closer than that.
No, Washington outplayed them
Oh,
the
I
entire
gotcha, I
time.
gotcha.
Varlamov kept them in the game.
Gotcha.
The Islanders had a couple chances, but they wouldn't shoot.
Isn't that frustrating? I mean, you're not a fan of the Islanders, but
you're
that's so frustrating to watch a team just have possession, but then just I don't know, try to pass it instead of taking a shot.
I think it was Parise. If he had one time that shot,
He was on the Islanders.
if he had one time the pass,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been an empty net goal.
Mm.
But he loaded up on the shot, and then
Gotcha.
the defense was able to get a
Adjust
stick
to
on
get
it.
in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So
Yeah, that might be fairly indicative of how the Islanders season has been because they are 11, 13, and 6 overall. Did you like that?
Yep.
Going back to
yes, that it was good.
1 for 7 on the power play this week, and conversely 6 for 7 on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
But you did have fun at the game.
It was a good game. It was cold outside though.
Oh, that was the day it was 8 degrees.
Yeah, it was freezing.
Yeah. Ugh.
Their new arena is very nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
I hope to go to a game later on this season when I'm back in Pittsburgh. Oh, you'll be with me actually. So we'll see. Maybe we'll go to that game, but
Yep.
we'll have to gauge how much those tickets cost. Anyway, Kyle Palmieri is on the IR with a lower body injury.
I forgot he was on that team too.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing very well or very often. I think
Right.
he's a healthy scratch sometimes too.
Wow.
Yeah,
He should have gone back
really,
to the Devils.
He really fell off. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but I think it was Palmieri. He just hasn't been playing very well. But nobody on the Islanders really has.
No one has.
But a different New York team that is playing super well is the Rangers, who are 2-1 this week. They did lose to LA, but they bounced back and shut out San Jose and then beat Philadelphia as well.
Mm-hmm.
1 for 5 on the power play, 6 for 6 on the penalty kill, 25, 10, and 4.
Top of the Metro.
Yeah, they are.
Frustrating.
They're doing well. They're doing much, much better than I think anybody anticipated. We say this every week, but
They're killing it.
they're killing it right now. Ilya Shesterkin is their top player this week. He won both of their games, or he got both of their wins. He had a 1.00 goals against average, .969 save percentage, and a shutout.
I got nothing to say. He's
pretty good.
He's one of the best in the game this year.
He is good. He is good. A team that's not super good, Philadelphia. You okay? What happened over there? Scared the shit out of my dog is what you did.
I'm struggling is what I'm doing.
Anyway, Philadelphia went 0-2 this week. They did, as I mentioned, have their game against Carolina postponed. But they went 1 for 5 on the power play, 3 for 6 on the penalty kill.
That's good. Nope.
No.
Sorry, you said penalty kill.
Penalty kill.
You said penalty kill. That's not good.
Yeah, they did lose to Boston and lost to the Rangers, both by a score of 3-2. Ooh. Yeah, so their overall record is 13, 17, and 7. They're sinking ever farther down in the rankings and ever farther away from a playoff spot.
You love to see it.
Unless you're a Philadelphia Flyers fan.
Which we are not.
Which we are not.
So.
So. Moving on to another Pennsylvania team and a bitter rival of the Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins went 2-1 this week. Beat Anaheim. They were on their West Coast swing this week.
Yes, they were.
Beat Anaheim. Got pretty soundly beat by LA. And then beat San Jose in overtime. Their overall record 22, 10, and 5. They were 1 for 5 on the power play, 9 for 10 on the penalty kill. Their top player this week, Chris Letang, who scored 2 goals and 2 assists. And also of note, Evgeny Malkin returned to the lineup in that
Excuse me.
in that Anaheim game and scored 2 goals.
Yes, he did.
So Malkin is back.
Malkin has scored.
Malkin is score. He is no longer a hurt. Moving on to Washington. They went 1 and 2 this week. Not a great week for Washington. Bless you. They got pretty well thumped by Boston.
Yep.
Did shut out the Islanders, like I mentioned, and then got doubled up by Vancouver. 2 for 6 on the power play. Both of those goals were in that Vancouver game. 7 for 11 on the penalty kill. 21-9-9 overall record. Still holding water, but Washington's been hitting kind of a... Bless you again.
Thank you.
Hitting a little bit of a skid the last few weeks. I think they're right around 500 the last few weeks.
Something like that.
They haven't really looked like themselves. Now,
those are the first power play goals in a while.
yeah, their power play has been a large issue of recent. I know Backstrom's still not in the lineup.
Yeah, he played.
Oh, did he play?
Yeah.
Oh, he was back. Okay,
He did
good.
play.
I know Oshie got hurt
He's
in
also
that
back.
game. He was back?
He played against the Islanders.
Didn't he get hurt against the Islanders?
Maybe.
I think he got hurt against the Islanders. But I don't think it's
didn't see
serious.
that.
I don't think it's serious. I think he missed the Vancouver game.
Gotcha.
But I think it's just like a day-to-day injury. Evgeny Kuznetsov had 4 assists to be their top player this week. And that is it for the Metro and the Eastern Conference.
All right, let's move to the West. Up first is Anaheim, who did not have a good week. And they are on a pretty big skid.
What exactly do you want?
They're on a 5-game skid. Going 0 for
Rough.
3 this week. Losing, like Bird said, to Pittsburgh. They also lost to Minnesota and got shut out by Chicago. So, as what you would say,
Shameful.
0 for 6 on the power play. 4 for 6 on the penalty kill. Gibson has been out
Oh, has he?
this past week.
Oh, that's probably part of the problem.
COVID.
Oh.
He got that last week. But
I was wondering why he didn't play against the Penguins.
Yep.
Yeah.
19, 15, and 7. They are now in 3rd in the conference.
Still holding water. So
Still holding
this is
water.
their first like major rough patch of the season. They're kind of like Washington. This
Yep.
is their first big rough patch.
All right, but that's it for Anaheim. You lost all 3 games.
Yeah. Tough to give them a top scorer unless one guy was doing all of the scoring.
And that wasn't.
No, that wasn't the case.
They only scored 4 goals.
Yeah.
So next up is Calgary. They only played 1 of their 3 games, and they lost it to Ottawa. Matthew Tkachuk cup-checked his brother. That was the only thing of note.
I forgot about that.
Only thing of note.
It's
0
pretty
for 1
funny,
on the power play, 3 for 3 on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Also, is Edmonton.
Oh boy.
Played 1 of their 5 scheduled games, losing to Ottawa.
Shameful.
1 for 3 on the power play.
They were supposed to play 5 games this week.
They were supposed to play Ottawa, Minnesota, Vegas.
Oh, I think that Ottawa game
It's
is
supposed
the one that they actually played.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
would
whatever.
make sense looking at it. 1 for 3 on the power play, 1 for 3 on the penalty kill.
They're just in a nosedive.
Yep.
I think I saw some statistic that was like from the beginning of the season to December 3rd, they were 16-5.
Yep.
And then since then, they're like 2-10-2 or something like
Because
that.
they are 18, 15, and 2 right now.
Oh my god, I did that math correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That's so smart. They're out of the playoffs now too. Currently, I looked at the standings.
Yes,
believe,
currently
last
they
night.
are not in the playoff spot.
Yeah, they got to figure something out. They're just submarining right now,
Yup.
and it's like really clear in all of the interviews I've seen too. They're just like, we don't know what's going on. It's just like, okay,
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. That everybody's like, we don't know what's going on.
That
Or
That's
they do know what's going on and they're trying not to be dicks in the media to
Yeah.
each other.
Right.
But yeah. And the only thing I've seen that is like a change coming to the team possibly is maybe they're gonna sign
maybe
Evander
Evander
Kane.
Oh, and that's gonna be great for the locker room.
Yeah, no. He's like, all of his off ice problems aside, Evander Kane is like not a great teammate from all of the reports we've seen through his career. He's just kind of a dick apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very famously.
He does great when they're winning, but that's
I remember famously. I believe it was Dustin Byfuglien. Like threw his gear into the showers or something because they got in a fight. Dustin Byfuglien
is a big dude.
He's a big dude. He was a defenseman. I believe this was when they were on the Jets.
Yep.
Together. Ruthie, pick something to do. Such a play. Anyway, I don't really think that's gonna turn their fortunes. You know.
Nope.
I think they definitely need a goalie.
And Evander Kane. While we'll talk about him now, since he might end up on the Jets.
Or Edmonton. He's not going to end up on the Jets.
No, he burned that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at his trying to cross the Canadian border.
Yeah.
At the end of December.
Yeah, that was before he even got released, and it was something like he went to. I think it was Vancouver. I think he's from Vancouver, and he was COVID positive and apparently knew that, and he tried to cross the border anyway.
Yep. So the NHL is looking into that.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I saw somebody report that the deal was done between him and Edmonton, but then I guess that wasn't like confirmed by anybody.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see. Like I said, he's a good player. He's just like he's not really what Edmonton needs.
No.
I mean, he would give them depth scoring, but they have problems like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of
Draisaitl and McDavid, no one else is scoring, or barely anybody else is scoring.
Cassian got a goal.
Oh well, never mind. The season is saved. But they're having problem with depth scoring. Their defense is barely playing defense, and then Mike Smith has been injured for like
most of the game. He's back out with a thumb injury.
Oh my god, yeah. So, and then their goalies are Koskinen and Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, Stuart Skinner. He played this week.
And Stuart Skinner, I believe, is a young guy, and then Koskinen is just like he's a backup goalie.
Yeah.
So they need a goalie, but I don't know who that's going to be because I saw somebody say Marc-Andre Fleury might be an option, but he has like a 10-team no-trade list.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Edmonton's got to do something. I can't believe their coach still has a job, honestly.
Honestly, that's one of
After starting that well, and then, he probably still has a job because of how well they started.
It's one of those things where, like, with all the players saying, hey, we don't know what's going on, that's a coaching problem.
Yeah.
Don't want my keys in your way. I'm sorry.
I know. My dog is, if you haven't been able to tell by how many times we have to stop and be like, what do you want? Is attention is what she wants.
Yes.
Always. Go ahead. Don't you start growling. I heard that.
All right. So, up next is a place that's great at getting attention because it's LA. Yes.
Nailed it. Clay from downtown.
Kobe. All right.
Also LA. Bam.
That's why I said
Oh my god, he's on fire, folks.
So are the Kings going 3-0 this week.
Yeah.
They are 13-5. They moved to second in the division.
God damn.
Yes.
Wow.
Second in the division.
Just
behind Vegas. Yep.
Yeah.
They
very impressive.
Beat the Rangers. They beat Pittsburgh, and they beat Seattle.
Two really hot, good teams too,
and Seattle. Going 1 for 7 on the power play, 6 for 7 on the penalty kill. Trevor Moore had 6 assists.
All right.
In those 3 games, and Kopitar had 2 goals and 3 assists. Athanasiou is out with a lower body, expected late January, but
Anthony, see you.
God damn it,
That's a really confusing name to look at.
And with my chicken scratch handwriting, it doesn't help me out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, their Kings are doing really well and looking really good doing it.
Yeah. Good for them. And they haven't. Quentin Byfield hasn't even played yet, right? I don't think.
Why do I think he has?
I know that he was injured for the beginning part of the season. Maybe
A huge chunk. He might be starting to play.
That might be part of it.
It might be. It might be this week. He's just.
That would give them a big boost. He's their big young center. I think he's only like 19 or 20, and yeah, he's supposed to be very good.
Yeah. Up next is San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
They went 1-1-1.
Boring.
Is it? Because it's also kind of fun.
I don't know. I'm just being.
Talked about their shutout loss to the Rangers and overtime loss to Pittsburgh and their overtime win against Detroit already. They were 1 for 9 on the power play, 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. They don't really have anyone to note.
Yeah.
But they are 20-17-2. So they've.
Boy, those California teams are doing. I know we've said this many times, but all of them are doing much better than either one of us predicted.
100%. Later.
I can look it up.
Byfield.
Oh, I got it. You keep going.
Yep. All right. Up next is Seattle, who I'm sorry,
not doing well.
Not doing well. They were 0 for 4 this week, so they had that little hot streak like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then it has not been good ever since. They are 10-23-4.
They'll probably get a good draft pick.
They'll get a great draft pick. They lost to Colorado, Dallas, and St. Louis, and like we said, the Kings.
Yeah.
Going 3 for 12 on the power play, 9 for 11 of the penalty kill. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. Looks like Quentin Byfield has been playing.
Haha! I knew it.
I think I want to say the last. Oh no! Hold on. Not this season. He has not played this season.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Sorry. Those stats I saw were for last season.
Oh well. All right. So Vancouver.
They might have just sent him back down to the minors.
They might have.
For all I know.
I saw something about Byfield.
Could still be hurt. I don't know. Anyway, who's next?
Vancouver have come back down to earth since Bruce has been in charge.
Well,
1 for 3 this week.
I mean, it was going to happen eventually. They were not nearly as good of a team.
But the teams that they played this week were Florida, Tampa, Carolina, and Washington.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they had a
That's fair.
strong schedule this week, beating Washington. But they are 17-18-3.
Oh my God.
The Matrix changed my life.
What's going on in the Matrix?
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I was still looking to see where Quentin Byfield was. He is in the he's in the AHL.
Okay, perfect. They are 17-18-3. This week they went 2 for 16 on the power play. Not great.
No.
5 for 10 on the penalty kill.
Also not super good.
It's not what you want.
Mm.
All right, last up with the Pacific is Vegas. They were 0-1 with a shootout loss to Toronto that I mentioned earlier. 2 for 5 on the power play, and then 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. They are top of the division with 23-14-2. So yeah, that's Pacific.
Okay, sorry, I'm still.
What's going on in the Central?
I'll tell you, Quentin Byfield is in the AHL.
Yeah, you said that.
I know. I was just double checking. Anyway, Arizona 1-1-1 this week, which takes them to 8-24-4. They've done it.
They've tied.
They've done it. They have tied the win number.
Who they beat again? I know we mentioned it.
1974 Washington Capitals. They beat Toronto.
Their goalie stole that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty good game. I mean, Toronto's a very good team, so that's a shocking upset for Arizona.
He ended up with a +4 saves expected.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he stole that game.
That's such an interesting stat that I've seen starting to pop
It's
up
a new
now.
one.
Yeah, I think it's new this season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like saves above expectation or goals allowed.
I think it saves.
But there's a goals against expectation too.
Oh, yes.
That like correlates to it. But anyway, they then lost to Colorado in a shootout, and then also got creamed by Colorado in a shutout.
Yeah.
0 for 8 on the power play this week, 9 for 10 on the penalty kill. Good penalty kill.
Exactly.
They don't have a top player because they went 1-1-1, and nobody really stood out. The game that they won was a very close 2-1 victory.
Yes.
I did see something. Apparently, whatever city that they were trying to negotiate a new arena with said no.
Yep.
So
Tempe said no.
Still confused about what is happening with that team's home, but we'll see. Moving on to Chicago, who shockingly went 3-0 this week.
Yeah, I know they did.
Pretty good week. They beat Columbus, they beat Montreal in overtime, and they shut out Anaheim.
Yep.
15, 18, and 5. Here they come. They're heating up.
They're coming back.
Heating up. Everybody knew that they were going to be good
Fleury's
this year.
bringing them to the playoffs.
We all knew that they were going to be so good this year and make the playoffs. They're starting to roll back into it. Marc-Andre Fleury was 3-0 this week with a 132 goals against, 957 save percentage, and a shutout.
Yeah.
I have to imagine he's going to get traded at the deadline.
If they were
really
smart.
Think so. I don't. They can't think that they're going to make the playoffs, like for real. I mean, the Western Conference is a little weak this year, but not that weak. Not with how well the California teams are doing. And I have to imagine Edmonton will right the ship at least a little bit at some point.
I'm sure. Of course, they have Duncan Keith.
He'll save them.
Yes, he will.
Old man Duncan Keith can't move no more. That was Chicago. Did I say their power play numbers? 2 for 11 on the power play, 7 for 8 on the penalty kill. Good week for Chicago.
Yeah, great week for Chicago.
Look out, everybody. Who also had a very good week was the Colorado Avalanche. 3-0-1 this week.
They're looking good.
Oh, yes. They beat Seattle, lost to Nashville in overtime, beat Arizona in a shootout, and then beat Arizona again in a shutout. 24-8-3 on the season.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good team right now.
Yeah, their power play wasn't very good this week. Only 2 for 14, 10 for 13 on the the penalty kill, which is okay.
Right.
Burakovsky and Makar both had 6 points this week.
Good to see Burr doing well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Bowen Byram is out for, just say, the foreseeable future. He has, I believe he came back from a concussion, and then his symptoms came back.
Oh, no.
So, hopefully you get healthy, young man, because your mind is more important, obviously. So, hopefully he's okay in the near future, but who knows when Bowen Byram will be back. He's young, too, which sucks. I was going to say something else about Colorado. Oh, I saw a stat that Colorado, if I remember correctly, started out like rather slow.
Yes.
I think they were like 6-5. They started off with, but like since then, they've just been blowing the doors off of everybody.
Oh, 100%.
So
that's what we were talking about in the
Yeah.
beginning, because we were just like, they'll fix it eventually, but
They
it's
did.
looking
they did.
weird.
Take note, Edmonton. They look like maybe the team to beat in the West right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, because they've just been, since their slow start, they've been very consistently good.
I mean, that's what everyone's really saying.
Yeah. It's just they're fairly stacked. They're very deep. They have a good defense. Goalie is maybe the only question mark for them. But Kemper's playing fine.
Yeah, he shut out Arizona the first
did.
time he came back to Arizona.
That's true. He did. Yeah, he did. South Colorado. Moving on to Dallas, who did not have a good week. 1-2. They did beat Seattle.
Yep.
Just like everyone else.
So is everyone.
But they got thumped by Florida and then lost to Tampa Bay as well. 18-15-2 overall on the season. So they're still
Yep.
They're still fighting for a playoff spot. 1 for 5 on the power play, 5 for 8 on the penalty kill. Joe Pavelski was their top player this week with 2 goals and 4 assists.
I think he did most of that in one game.
It's probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He had to have.
He had a 5-point game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He had to have because the other 2 games, they only scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
So, Minnesota only played 1 game this week, but they beat the butts off of Anaheim. In that game, they were 0 for 0 on the power play and 1 for 1 on the penalty kill.
Huh.
Which is crazy because they didn't get any power plays and they scored 7 goals. So that was a rough game for Anaheim, clearly.
Yeah.
22, 10, and 2 overall record. Matt Zuccarello. Normally I wouldn't give top player if you only played 1 game, but Zuccarello had 2 goals and an assist in that game. So,
you get
pretty
3 points in
He had 3 points in
one game. Yeah.
you can have it. Nashville won 1-1 this week.
Off week for Nashville.
That is a little bit of an off week for Nashville, at least recently,
Yeah.
the last month or 2. They beat Colorado in overtime, but then one of the more shameful things you could do, lost to Buffalo.
Yep.
And then lost to Boston in overtime. So they got a loser point out of that Boston game, but lost to Buffalo. Tisk tisk.
It's not Montreal. Relax.
That's true. Or Arizona. 24, 12, and 3 on the season is Nashville, fighting for that top spot in the Central Division. 3 and 11 for the power play, 5 for 8 on the penalty kill. Roman Josi was their top player this week. He had a goal and 4 assists.
Yeah, he did really well.
Good week for their captain. St. Louis is next, 1-1, only 2 games this week. They did beat Seattle in a fairly close game, and then lost a pretty fun game to Toronto 6-5.
There's so many lead changes. It was great.
That was a very back and forth game. 22, 11, and 5 overall is St. Louis. They were 1 for 7 on the power play this week, 5 for 6 on the penalty kill. Robert Thomas and Brendan Saad both had 3 points this week to tie as their top players.
Not bad.
And finally, last but not least, the Winnipeg Jets played 1 of the 4 games that they were supposed to this week. But in that 1 game, they shut out Detroit.
So all you can ask for, really.
Yeah, for real. 0 for 1 on the power play, 5 for 5 on the penalty kill, 17, 12, and 5 overall. And obviously, Connor Hellebuck is their top player with a shutout.
Yep.
And, well, I'm not going to go over any other stats because they're all 0.
Yeah,
So,
he
because
shut
he shut them out.
Shut him out.
Or, well, it's 0 for goals against and 1,000 for save percentage. Or 100%. I'd say percentage.
Whatever.
But, yeah, that's this week. They did announce the All-Star rosters, but I don't really care about the All-Star game.
No, it's dumb that they're having it. You have so many.
I think All-Star games are dumb in general in every sport.
They're dumb, but they can be fun. But this year specifically,
The NHL one is at least fun because of the skills competition.
oh yeah.
But here's the thing: you could have that at just the end of the year.
Well, I'm just saying COVID right now. Like,
Well, that too.
One player goes to the All-Star game who has
Yeah, it
COVID.
could be a mess.
Could be a super spreader
Yeah.
event that ruins everyone else's season.
And on top of that, there's like
You have so many games you need to play.
you have all these games you need to make up. And granted, it's just I think 3 days for the All-Star weekend, but
You could get 2 games in.
you could wedge in a couple of games for teams in there. And on top of that, there's just like guys that definitely aren't going to go. Like Ovechkin is the captain for the Metro division, which I mean he deserves that.
I'll be shocked if he goes.
But Ovechkin hasn't gone to an All-Star game in like 3 or 4 years at
It's
this
like
point.
5 or something like that.
Yeah, and the punishment for doing that is a game suspension.
Yep.
And he doesn't care. He's not going to go. Crosby has also started not going to. He didn't get elected to it
Because he missed half the season.
because he missed half the season. But I saw a bunch of people on Twitter be like, "Why isn't Crosby on the team?" It's like he wouldn't go anyway.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So I don't know. I kind of think it's dumb. They should have just. What I always think in every sport is that they should just name an all-star team. Why play a game? Who cares? I mean, it's for money, I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but
But the skills competition's super fun.
have it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And make it so everybody can come.
Yep.
That would be more fun. If like teams are like, make the teams play against each other in the skills competition.
Mhm.
You know, like wouldn't it be fun to like have Philly make a team of skill guys to go and like challenge the rest of the league. That would be way more fun, actually.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't know. The skills competition is the most fun and interesting part anyway.
The fastest skater's going to get McDavid again.
Probably.
Whatever.
Yeah.
If he goes.
If he even goes, yeah. I'm sure he got elected to the team, but
Yeah, I mean,
God
he's
knows
been
if he
killing
wants
it,
to
yeah.
go. So, I don't know. It's just dumb. It's dumb.
Especially with COVID right now, it's not smart to have.
We're not even going to go over the rosters. It really doesn't matter.
No.
You know, like, anybody that's doing good this year is probably there.
Yep.
And some that Nazem Kadri didn't get elected, which is really stupid because he's having a great year.
He's
there's some they're doing the stupid thing where they have to have a player from each team.
Yeah.
So the teams that are doing really terrible, like Montreal, have a player going who
Isn't
isn't
it Weidman?
I don't know, but in either direction, nobody on Montreal deserves to be in the All-Star game.
No.
So it's just stupid. And Nazem Kadri's like killing it this year. He's like 4th in scoring or something,
Yeah.
and he's not in the All-Star game. It's dumb. All-Star games are dumb. That's our point.
Ovechkin and Draisaitl are tied for top.
For goals, yeah.
Goals and points.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And points.
And points too.
I think so, yeah.
Old man Ovi. Oh, speaking of Ovechkin, he scored his 25th goal this week.
And 26.
Yes, but the 25 is the milestone part. I believe that is his 16th career season scoring 25 goals.
Yeah.
And I believe only a few guys have done more than that, and those few guys include Lemieux and Gretzky. So, congratulations, Ovi, for yet another milestone.
This is the 8th year that Ovechkin has scored. They've been doing Ovechkin at the same age as Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
8th year that he has scored more than Gretzky at that age.
Get that record, Ovi. I want you to get it.
He's 12 away from third all time.
He's going to do that this year, and barring some catastrophic injury, but hopefully not.
Yeah.
He's pretty durable, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, get that record. I want to see some of these Gretzky records. The points record's never going to be beaten, but
the assist record's never going to be beaten.
The assist record's never going to be beaten because he has more assists than anybody else has points.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. It's awesome, but it's crazy.
It's really great, but it's just like it's weird because the NHL has changed so drastically. Like
goalies are so much better.
Every 15 years or so, the NHL is basically a different league.
Yeah.
So back in the 80s when Gretzky was doing all of this, 70s and 80s when Gretzky was doing all this, like the goalies were barely wearing pads. He was also getting every penalty called for him. No slight to Gretzky, but
and there was goons protecting him.
Yeah. The thing is like nowadays you watch the game and like they barely call anything for the star players or the skill players, but like back in Gretzky's day, they did everything to protect Gretzky.
Yeah.
And so no slight to Gretzky. That's not his fault.
Gretzky's still like the best visionary on that ice. He knew where to be. He knew where to be where no one else was.
Yeah. I'm not trying to denigrate Gretzky at all, but he was setting those records in a completely different era.
Yes.
And then, it's almost like they should break it up into greatest of a generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've seen people online, saying that, Gretzky was the greatest in, the 70s and 80s, or, from, 70 to, 85, he was the greatest. Then Lemieux came in and was greatest until, 2000. Yager was in there, too.
Yeah.
And then from there, in 05 is when Crosby and Ovechkin came in, and now it's McDavid and Draisaitl.
Ovechkin's the greatest pure goal scorer, but Crosby's
probably
better
one of the best.
Overall,
he's probably one of the best all around players. Because he didn't when he was younger, he didn't really play defense, but as he's gotten older, he is. You could nominate him for a Selke and probably
get a couple of points.
Get a couple of votes for it.
Yeah.
I think he actually ended up 4th in Selke voting a few years ago or something like that. But that's just my point. Is
the game's changing.
The game is constantly changing, and it changes with the executive management. of the NHL and like how they call penalties and all of that jazz.
Think about how like 20 years ago with the Devils.
Well, 20 years ago was the dead puck era, I think is what it was
Yeah.
called, because they would just like they wouldn't call like holding or anything like that. So teams like the Devils would play what's called a trap,
Yes.
and all they would do is basically stack up all 5 of their players at the red line in the neutral zone, and just stop you from getting into their zone. And it was so boring, but very effective.
You know, they won cups from it.
Yeah.
And you also had Scott Stevens.
Yeah.
Blowing guys up in hits that
Yeah,
would be
it would
completely
be so
illegal
illegal now. Yeah.
But were legal back then.
Yeah. So you can't you could call them dirty now, but they weren't dirty back then.
No.
Like guys, I mean, back then nobody cared about concussions. Nobody even thought about concussions. And I mean, look what's happened to like guys like Eric Lindros and Chris Pronger. Unfortunately, their lives have been like very messed up. Lindros's career got ended prematurely because of concussions.
And he is still a Hall of Famer.
Is he in the Hall of Fame? I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he is in the Hall of Fame.
And so is Pronger, but like Pronger's like life has been affected by
Yes,
this,
100%.
which is very sad. I think he's starting to get better. And speaking of Pronger, I believe St. Louis is retiring his number. They either did recently or they are coming up.
That's awesome.
Retiring 44. But yeah, it's just weird. It's just when you talk about like greatest of all times, you have to think about what era they were in. Because before Gretzky, it was probably Gordie Howe. You know?
I mean,
Or Guy Lafleur, or Maurice Richard, or whatever.
Phil Esposito.
Phil Esposito, yeah. Not even to forget, like, I mean, in these eras, there's also other guys who were fantastic players too, like Teemu Selanne in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, plenty. Brett Hull too, yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was just a tangent about nothing really here at the end of the episode. But thanks for listening. That was week 14, plus some NHL history
Stuff.
musings. Thank you for listening. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at BuzzPucks.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, give us a favorable review. Give us a follow. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Tell all your neighbors.
Tell all your neighbors because they talk about pucks out here. And we'll see you guys again next week. Same puck time, same puck channel.
We'll get it right eventually.
We'll get that right eventually. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.